Today I want to talk about an EIM replacement system from crayparts.com. Recently purchased a 2001 Ray Sundeck, and it has a cracked dash. So in looking for that cracked dash or a replacement, I found a website, a forum called clubcray.com, and in there I read about 78 pages on a Ray 240 Sundeck thread. And in that thread, I came across a discussion about the EIM system. For those of you that don't know, there's a pad which controls a lot of the functions of our boat that is a touch-sensitive pad, and it is affectionately referred to as a peanut pad, but it is a oval-shaped pad, usually to the right side of the steering wheel, and you will find your blower, your lights, all on one pad. Well, this is an electronic box that probably has a microprocessor. If you were to look under the helm at your radio, you will see a box to the left of the radio, and that is part of that EIM system. In other words, that is the brains. So this pad connects to that box and electronically sends signals to things like your blower, your bilge pump, your lights, etc., etc. Well, I'm kind of old school. So I like the idea of the old Carling switches. And when I found a post discussing the EIM replacement, I immediately went online and looked for any kind of information regarding it other than just the manufacturer's website. And I wasn't able to find anything, especially on the YouTube side, because sometimes it's really nice to see a video of what something is and what it's about. Little did I know that this was the perfect product for me. I do not have a problem with my peanut pad. I do not have a problem with my EIM right now, but I will be pulling them out as part of a larger restoration that I am doing on my Ray Sundeck 240. Again, it's a 2001 model, so it is older. And once I found this product, I got very excited very quickly. Unbeknownst to me at the time, I thought I was going to have the circle where the original Clarion radio remote is located. And I inquired about moving that circle so I could fit the Fusion remote, which you see in the lower left corner of our screen right now, into that space without it crowding or looking off. What they did was they offered to cut the dash or the gauge plate to fit that Fusion piece. And so I'm really excited. This is actually going to be the first time that I'm going to test fit it. But let's go ahead and open up the box and see what things came. Full disclosure, I was so excited about receiving it. I already did look at it. However, this is, so a lot of the packaging material is not in there. It was very well packaged. crayparts.com was extremely well communicative. They communicated all along the way about what was being done. They also sent me a proof of what my gauge plate would look like with this Fusion remote. So what we're seeing here is the box. I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Now inside the box comes a whole bunch of parts. There's an instruction manual along with more pertinent information relating to the project. There's a packing list outlining all the parts that should be in here. Now, I've not gone through and checked that off myself. There's a instruction booklet and an overview, and that is for the actual installation portion of the project. And then there is a template instructions for how you're probably going to have to open up and drill holes once you remove the original gauge plate. So let's take a look at the product as it comes. This is going to replace the EIM module that is under the helm next to the radio and cover up that opening. This piece assumably is going to be mounted where the original EIM module was. Again, we're not talking about the gauge pack, that peanut pack, but this is where all the fuses are. I love that they used Blvd systems. I'm a big fan of that. I'm also in the process of redoing or updating all the electrical so that I never have electrical issues. And I have a pretty good investment in Blvd Systems products. They're absolutely wonderful for marine use. At first glance, I will say that the workmanship and the wiring is absolutely impeccable. They used what appears to be good marine grade wiring. The terminals that you see attached to the terminal posts, which are attached to the fuses, also have heat shrink tubing that has been sealed properly. All of this aids in keeping the moisture out of your electrical wiring, which is one of the most damaging aspects in a marine environment. The next piece is the actual gauge panel, and we will look at this in a little bit more detail, but I wanted to show, again, excellent connectors designed to fit the existing C-Ray connector, and this is that custom cutout. So on most C-Rays, especially of my year, you will find a circle right here, and that's where the Clarion remote for the radio was located. There was also a oval pad here which covered the fire extinguisher system and had the light as well as the ignition. But all of these have been replaced by the Carling switches. We'll open that in a moment. Also included was a main gauge replacement in the correct burl wood that was used in the C-Rays. I love this because my dash is cracked, and on any of the older C-Rays, anybody who's invested in a older 2000 era C-Ray will probably have cracks over here, possibly cracks over here. This brings it all back to current, and it is a very high quality, very thick panel. In addition, there is a full-size cardboard template for mounting the gauge panel, and it also shows where cutout locations probably need to be. There is a new ignition switch. I may or may not use this. I probably will because it will just update it to a new switch. A pack of the miscellaneous parts that we need. That looks like that is the contents. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up this gauge panel so that you can take a closer look without all this plastic being on it. We're going to go ahead and move this pack out of the way. So here's the gauge panel. As you could see, it's completely updated. What they have eliminated was the metal plate that you'll find on your stock dash. Obviously the ignition switch is not in. All of the writing has been embossed into the gauge panel, and all the writing is clear and easy to see. You will also notice from the back side, it appears that there is backlighting amongst all of the labels, which is wonderful. I know when I recently ran my boat at night, we were unable to see most of the gauges, even with the accessory lights on. Now, looking at the back side, you will see again, there's impeccable wire management. In addition to heat shrink, as opposed to electrical tape that gets gummy over time, they've used heat shrink to keep the wire bundles nice and clean and properly routed. You will notice that they used marine grade adhesive-based shrink terminal connectors, and you'll notice that everything is very clean, very orderly. There's nothing sloppy about this work. It is absolutely fantastic. This is the piece that's going to plug into that harness that you see, and this is the unit that's going to plug into the fuse block that was provided by C-Ray Parts, and this connector mates with the connector that is already on the C-Ray as part of the EIM system. My belief in my reading is that this piece goes back to all of the devices that are being controlled by the switches on the switch panel. And so what we've eliminated is that peanut pad or that touch-sensitive touchscreen here in favor of traditional and very reliable curling switches. The nice thing about this is if your EIM were to fail, you're dead in the water. There is no way to turn on your bilge pump, no way to turn on your blower, no way to turn on your navigation lights, and that could be fairly catastrophic. I don't know what the rate is of failure. I happen to like this much better than that electronic pad. So over here we've got our blower, we've got our horn, which is a retractable button as you'd expect. It also has the horn logo on it. Here we've got for our fresh water system, our bilge pump, our wipers, our depth sounder, our courtesy lights, accessories, and our navigation lighting. Now, the part that I really like is this is the Fusion touchscreen remote for the Fusion RA770 radio. And in having them custom cut this, now I will have the Fusion as part of the system, and it looks like it was actually intended to be placed in that position. I don't have to use a Dremel to go route it out. It fits absolutely perfectly. You'll notice from the back side that the cutout was exactly as needed to the right specifications, with the mounting holes in the correct spot and the bump routed out properly to match this unit. So in essence, we have a very professional finish, and when it's done, it's going to look like it was a part of the boat. In a future video, I will show and demonstrate the installation or the conversion from that EIM system. That's it for today. Have a great boating season.